Oh, Shalom Aleichem and a Shavua Tov and Chodesh Tov. We just had the Kiddush Levana this Motzei Shabbos, and uh, and we're in the culmination of Pesach Sheni, the 14th of Iyar here in Eretz Yisrael. But in other places, you're still in the in Chutz La'aretz. Many places are still in the midst of the celebration, eating matzah, as we are also, at least here at home, we're eating matzah as well. I actually started the Suda before Mincha, before sunset, and then after Ma'ariv, I came back home in order to continue the Suda. So we're still eating matzah. We ate from the Afikomen as well, and we'll wish everyone a good yontif, and just to mention one concept of the Pesach Sheni, we know that the concept of the second Passover, or the fact that it's never too late, and we're always able to correct things. There's no other mitzvah in the entire 613 mitzvahs that has this type of concept. If a person didn't do a mitzvah, so they can do the mitzvah tomorrow, a person, for some reason, uh, even if it was beyond their beyond their abilities, they couldn't put on tefillin for today, so they can put tefillin on tomorrow, but they can't put tefillin on for yesterday. They can do tshuva, and we can have all the intentions of making up, but there's no actual a second time that we can make up actually for the not putting on tefillin, or a woman that didn't light Shabbos candles for some reason or another. They were somewhere that they couldn't light. People were in the Holocaust, people, God forbid, or people in the gulags in Russia. So many, it happens that if a woman for some reason wasn't able to light, so they add another light that reminds them that this is the tikkun, the rectification of candle lighting, but it doesn't make up the actual candle lighting that they missed. Comes Pesach Sheni and teaches us that there's one mitzvah, the mitzvah of Korban Pesach, which is amongst the sacrifices, the most stringent of all sacrifices. Because all other sacrifices, if a person didn't go and offer the sacrifice, so they didn't do the mitzvah. But if a person didn't offer the Paschal lamb on Pesach, so the punishment is very stringent. It's kores. It's the opposite of life from heaven. Comes the Torah and tells us that in Pesach Sheni we're able to go and to turn everything around to the extent that the rule, but avar zmanei batel korbanai, if the time of the offering has passed, so the korban, the sacrifice, cannot be offered anymore. That same sacrifice that one was supposed to offer. Here in regard to the Korban Pesach, it doesn't apply. And we see that a person has a second chance in order to go if they were not able to, if they were distant from the Beis Hamikdash, if the person was impure, or even if the person was intentionally didn't go and offer the Paschal offering, and they were able to, but they didn't do it on purpose. They have the second chance to do it on Pesach Sheni, on the 14th of the Hebrew month of Iyar. Where does this originate from? So one of the explanations is in regard to the fact that before we left Mitzrayim, before we left Egypt, we were actually, as far as our spiritual level was concerned, we were equal with the Egyptians to make the differentiation. In other words, just as the Egyptians were idolaters and they served Avodah Zarah, so also the Jews in Egypt, they also adapted to the Avodah Zarah, to the serving of idolatry of the Egyptians. It was a very low situation, to the extent that it's considered to be the Sha'ar Memtes Share Tuma, the 49th gate of impurity. That's like the lowest of the low before a person is like a lost case. What gave us the ability to be different from the Egyptians to the extent that we merited to have the exodus from Mitzrayim, from Egypt? What gave us this ability was the concept or the commandment of Korban Pesach. In other words, just as the impurity was something that distanced us from our connection, that hid and concealed our connection with Hashem, so Korban Pesach, there was another mitzvah that was given also having to do, correlated with Korban Pesach, the mitzvah of circumcision, that everyone had to be circumcised. A person that is not circumcised cannot eat from the Paschal offering. Okay? And also the giving of the blood of the Paschal offering upon the mezuzahs, the doorposts. But the main thing is the Paschal offering. And this was the commandment that Hashem gave us in order to reestablish, to reveal, and to bring about to dispose of the hiddenness and concealment of our connection with Hashem, and bring it on a revealed basis that every single Jew is connected to Hashem. And in regard to this mitzvah, the connection of a Jew to Hashem, the Torah comes and says that it's never too late. As far as a person might have wandered, the person always has the ability to do tshuva and to come back home. And this is why the Torah comes and tells us that there is a Pesach Sheni. The person, as every single individual Jew, has a second chance. But how was this brought about? This is something colossal that we don't see in the entire Torah. Maybe we can say there's one place in regard to the inheritance of the land that the daughters of Tzlofchad also came and said and made the same claim. But in regard to a positive mitzvah, we see that there's only one place that the mitzvah was not given over initially, but it was revealed. Of course, we were commanded all the 613 mitzvahs from Har Sinai, from Mount Sinai. But the mitzvah was not revealed until there was a small group of Jews that came and demanded it. They came and they made a demand. What was their demand? They said, after the first time that the Jewish nation in Egypt go and made the Paschal offering, this first year in the desert, Hashem commands us again to go and to do the mitzvah of Korban Pesach. And here, all of a sudden, there were people that were impure, and they couldn't offer the Paschal offering because people that are impure are not allowed to. What was their impurity? There are different opinions whether they were carrying the bones of Yosef HaTzadik, or they were carrying they were carrying the bones of Nadav and Avihu. Or there's others that say that there was a mace mitzvah. People that might have died on the way, so they were carrying their bones. There are opinions that not only was Yosef bones taken out of Egypt, but the bones of all the 12 tribes were taken out. So different opinions, but when a person is in contact with a person that is not alive, so they become impure. Hence, they're not allowed to go to participate in the Korban Pesach. These people that were doing this mitzvah, they come up to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they say, very simple, 2 words, Lama Nigara. Why should we lose out? Or why should we be any worse than any other Jewish individual in the Jewish nation? Everyone has the mitzvah, and everyone is observing the mitzvah of Korban Pesach. Why should we lose out on the opportunity of doing this mitzvah? And it wasn't in a manner of a complaint that they were coming and complaining to Moshe Rabbeinu. They were coming and demanding because their neshama had the desire and their essence was being revealed in regard to their connection with Hashem. And hence, Moshe Rabbeinu heard them out. He didn't go and tell them, where to go. He went and he said, Imdu, stand in your place, ve'eshma ma'itzave Hashem, and I'll hear what Hashem will command. Moshe Rabbeinu says such a thing. Moshe Rabbeinu knows better than anyone else that a person that is impure can't go and eat in the Korban Pesach. They, the people that were demanding, also knew that a person, they were commanded, that a person that is impure can't offer the Paschal offering. So where is their logic even to come and to cry out, Lama Nigara? Why should we lose out? It's not that you're losing out. You were doing another mitzvah. It says very clearly in halacha, ha'isik b'mitzvah, pater min mitzvah. A person that is dealing with one mitzvah that can't be done by anyone else is exempt from the other mitzvahs that they might be obligated to do. This wasn't good enough for them because their craving was to be connected with Hashem. And the way that we connect with Hashem is through the observance of the commandments, of the mitzvahs. And this mitzvah, they were not able to go and to observe. So they said that we want to know and we want to see, why should we be any worse than any other of the individual Jews in the Jewish nation? And Hashem at that point, immediately, he commands Moshe Rabbeinu that these people, through their shout, through their cry of Lama Nigara, why should be any worse than any other Jew, they have revealed the mitzvah of Pesach Sheni. And hence, we have till this day, we commemorate the mitzvah of Pesach Sheni. Today, we don't do it on not yet. Immediately now, we'll have the third in the eternal Beis HaMikdash. We'll be able to do it in the Beis HaMikdash. We'll be able to offer the Paschal offering. But for the meantime, we do it on the spiritual basis. And this spiritual basis, as taught by the previous Rebbe, the Rebbe brings in the name of the Rebbe Rayatz, Rebbe Yosef Yitzchok, is that we have to realize, it's brought in the Sefer Hayom Yom that the Rebbe wrote and put together. It says we have to realize Nito ken farfallen. There's no lost case. It's never too late. And the fact of the matter is, we can always rectify the situation. On the spiritual basis, there's no problem. And this is what we have to also, the Rebbe says in latter sichas, we have to also realize and we have to commit ourselves with a very intense intention to go and to put forth our demand to Hashem. Lama Nigara. Why should we be any worse than the Jews in the first Beis HaMikdash, in the second Beis HaMikdash? We want to go and to offer the Paschal offering. We want to have the third and the eternal Beis HaMikdash. We want to have the Geula Shlema V'Amitis, the true and the complete redemption. We want the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach on a good and revealed basis. And main thing, it should be Teichef Umiyad Mamesh B'toch Simcha V'tuv Levav B'mnuchas HaNefesh U'mnuchas HaGuf. Teichef Umiyad Mamesh. No, a good yontif, everyone. Eat your matzah.
Thank you very, very much.
Baruch Hashem, thank you for coming. In order for a person to purify themselves, so they had to have the ashes of the red heifer, and they had to immerse themselves in the mikveh, and then 7 days later, as the Torah tells us, the person is pure, and then they were able to go into to offer the Paschal offering on the 14th of Iyar. But they already came with their demand when the commandment was given. This was on in the month of Nisan. And yeah, on the original date that we're supposed to offer the Paschal offering on the Korban Pesach, the 15th of Nisan, or the eve of the 15th of Nisan, on 14th of Nisan. So when they saw everyone going and giving their offerings, they felt in Yiddish we say beledigt. They felt that they were lost. They were lost out. They're not able to do the mitzvah. They're doing another mitzvah, fine. But now they can't do the mitzvah. Comes the Lama Nigara, why should we be losing out? And Hashem hears this. Just as he heard it in regard to the Paschal offering, which is, like we said before, the intrinsic connection between the Jew and Hashem, so he should also hear it in regard to the ultimate connection between the Jew and Hashem and the entire Jewish nation and Hashem. And this is the Geula Shlema V'Amitis. Now for the story. Our story opens up with a beautiful couple, Eliyahu, not me, Eliyahu and Ora. Ora was in her ninth month of pregnancy, and she was sitting in a playground, looking at all the little children running around. And she was like, she was very complacent with herself, very happy with herself because she's in her ninth month. And any moment she's supposed to also have a child, bring a child to the world. All of a sudden she felt lo aleinu, very not well, very bad cramps, and she called up the emergency number that she had, and when she described what she felt, so the operator told her she shouldn't move and she should call an ambulance, and she would be brought for examinations in the hospital. And this is exactly what happened. She was brought to the hospital, and they were they took her to the Tipul Nimratz, the intensive care. And after a very quick look, the doctors came to the conclusion that if things don't develop on their own, so they'll have to go and to intervene with a C-section, with an operation. And then the doctors told Ora that in the meantime, what they're going to try to do is to speed up the process. They gave her an injection that'll speed up the process of labor. But if they don't see results, so as they mentioned before, they would have to go and operate. As they're wheeling her to the labor room, so her phone ring. She hears an alert on her phone, and she takes out the phone from her purse, and she looks and she sees that it's Rebbetzin Chani Tzik from Bat Yam that sent her a message in regard to the class in Taras HaMishpacha that they have that evening, and it was a reminder that she should come to the class. She immediately thought quickly, and she said, "Wait a second, Chani Tzik, wait!" And she sent a message asking Rebbetzin Tzik to go and ask on her behalf a blessing from the Rebbe in the Igros Kodesh. And apparently Rebbetzin Tzik took the matter very, very seriously, and within a few minutes she received a message back, and the Rebbe's answer was that you should merit to give over good news. Okay, the moment she heard that the Rebbe already gave a blessing for meriting to give over good news, so she was already a little, a little more calm, and things started to get together as far as she was concerned, and no later than within the hour, so Baruch Hashem, she gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. And everyone says, "Oh, so that's the end of the story, right?" And it says, "No, that's the end of the nightmare. That's the beginning of the nightmare. Excuse me." Beginning of nightmare. She gave birth to a baby boy. Everything was going to be no operation. Everything was natural. What happened was the next morning after the birth, so she was on her way to go into to feed the newborn, and as she's walking in the corridor, she feels she feels weak and she faints on the floor. Uh, the doctors ran and they took her into to an examination, and they found that since the birth was not that simple, and the mother lost a lot of blood. So she was very, very low, extremely low on hemoglobin, which, as we know, transfers the oxygen to the entire, all the entire body. And the doctor said, "Listen, it's he gives like an about it's very clear what happened." The doctor says, "I mean, you lost the blood, and therefore what we have to do is we'll give you blood portions in order to make up for the blood that you lost, and after that you'll be running around like a tiger." Fine. So, they give her they give her the blood portions, and she lies down, and she wakes up in the morning, and as she's walking in the hall again, she feels that she's weak and she faints again. This time it wasn't so simple. The doctors say, "Oh, we have to see what's going on. We don't know how it happened," and the hemoglobin was still very low. Uh, they the doctors they had their farbrengen of opinions, but Ora, the mother, she definitely wasn't going to wait. She immediately went to her phone, and she wrote to Rebbetzin Sick, Rebbetzin Chanitzik, what was going on, and she asked that she again request a blessing on her behalf from the Rebbe. The blessing was written in the Igros Kodesh, in the Rebbe's letters, and again, quite immediate to the request, the answer of the Rebbe was sent back to Ora. The answer was uh, all correlated to the mitzvah of eating matzah. Eating matzah? The Rebbe writes there in regard to that which is written in the Zohar, in the Holy Zohar, about matzah, that matzah has two titles: Mechla de Mehem Nusa, the food of belief, and Mechla de Asvasa, and the food of healing. And since being so, this person that was apparently not feeling well, the Rebbe goes and suggests or recommends that that this person should eat matzah. Okay? The moment she saw the answer from the Rebbe, she called up her husband Eliyahu, and she told her husband to immediately look and search in the house to see if they have any matzah left, and to bring it to the hospital. So the husband says to the wife, "I don't understand. What do you mean to eat matzah? It's not Pesach and in the month of Nisan, and it's not even Pesach Sheni, the month of Iyar, like we're now. We're in the middle of the summer. We're in the month of Tammuz. What are you looking to eat matzah now?" So she says, "Never mind. Don't. I'll explain later. Just look for matzah and bring it over as soon as you can." And her husband Eliyahu, turned over the entire house, the cupboards and so on, until finally he found some shmura matzah from apparently was left over from Pesach, and he got into his car and drove over, and he brought his wife Ora the matzah. She washed for bread and she ate the matzah, and with without any way to explain it, no logical medical explanation, The next day, Ora was jumping and skipping and singing. And how did the doctor say it the first time? Running like a tiger. She was a tiger. And Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, everything ended up in the best of manners. And finally came the big day for the baby boy. The baby boy, the day of his circumcision, the day of his bris came. And how do we think the parents named the child after the two miracles that they had from the Rebbe? Well, they named him Menachem Mendel. The Eibusher should help that with the eating of matzah tonight and today, Pesach Sheni, we should immediately, and with the shouting out from the depths of our souls, the depths of our hearts, Lama Nigara, why should we be any worse than any other of the Jews throughout the generations? We want Mashiach now. We want the third and the eternal Beis Hamikdash. We want to give the Paschal offering and all the other offerings. We want the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, and it should be teichef umiyad mamish on a good and revealed basis. Yechi Adonenu Moreinu V'Rabbeinu Amelech Ha'Moshiach Chai V'Kayom Le'olam Voed. Amen.